This episode is brought to you by ARX. You want to be a successful strength training studio owner. The problem is you aren't able to deliver the safest, most efficient and effective workouts, making it harder for you to attract and retain clients, which makes you feel frustrated. I understand that it can be difficult to differentiate your business without the right tools. ARX's breakthrough adaptive resistance technology uses patented motorized resistance and computer software to give you and your clients the perfect workout every single time. BioFit founder John Zarbok says that ARX is clearly the superior tool to deliver the exercise stimulus. My clients are seeing insane improvements in weeks, not months. I could not fathom running my business without ARX. So here's how you get started. Number one, go to arxfit.com/HOB to get $500 off your ARX machines. Number two, book a call with the ARX sales team. And number three, learn how ARX can help you grow your strength training business. Go to arxfit.com/HOB so you can stop struggling to attract and retain clients and start to grow your strength training business with confidence. Lawrence Neal here, and welcome back to highintensitybusiness.com, the podcast where we discuss high-intensity strength training and provide you with the tools, the tactics, and the strategies to help you grow your strength training business. Before we get into today's episode, I want to let you know that over on the blog post for this episode, you can download a free PDF on how to attract great personal trainers to your strength training business. That's over at highintensitybusiness.com. Search for episode 356. And you'll also get access to a lot more resources, including PDF transcripts, financial tools, checklists, and more. Secondly, are you struggling to grow your strength training business? If so, join HIT Business Membership, where we provide how-to guides from successful studio owners, a monthly virtual happy hour with experts, Q&As, forum community, private coaching from myself, and lots more to help you grow your strength training business with confidence. Join now by going to highintensitybusiness.com and clicking the Join Membership button. This is episode 356, and today's guests are Sheila Melody and Lisa May. Sheila discovered the super slow method in 2005 when a friend introduced her to Greg Burns. After working out with Greg and years of his encouragement, she became certified in the Power of 10 method in 2010 with the intention of having a side hustle that she enjoyed. She's always been into health and fitness, but spent most of her career working in the music and entertainment industry, managing small businesses. I'm interested in learning more about that, Sheila. And in 2012, the opportunity arose to take over management of an existing studio. So she jumped in whilst holding down her full-time job. Cut to 2022, and now they have 5 amazing trainers, have survived the pandemic, hooray, and are poised to finally grow to their true potential. One thing she has learned about this business over the years is that there is always something new to learn. Hear. She recently stopped training clients so that she could focus more on the business and the growth of the Strength Code brand. So moving on to Lisa. Lisa was born and raised in Southern California. After college and a stint in finance, she went into radio and was lucky enough to land on the Kevin and Bean show on the world famous K-Rock, an alternative rock station that would end up being number one in the market many times in the 90s and 2000s. Her last 5 years in radio was spent on KLOS with Frosty, Heidi and Frank, another popular morning show in Southern California, which I appreciate given the details on that, considering I'm an ignorant and naive Brit. She retired in December of 2019, 2 months before the COVID lockdown. Lisa got her personal training certification while still working in radio and received a high-intensity strength training certification from HIT Uni and was then taught by the trainers at the Strength Code Burbank. Lisa started training there on weekends until her move to Palm Springs in January of 2020. And then she opened the Strength Code Palm Desert in September 2020 after signing a lease in March 2020, 1 week before COVID lockdown. They're a licensed affiliate of the Strength Code Burbank. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Lawrence. We're so excited.
You're both very welcome. And I'm excited to talk to you both and learn more about you. And, it's interesting how we all got connected, right? Like I got connected to Lisa because my friend Joel Yakovitz from Body Science Coach was trying to help a 94-year-old lady from a group, one of his groups he works with, to find a HIT trainer in Palm Desert. And that's how I stumbled upon Strength Code Palm Desert with yourself, Lisa. And I was just blown away by the website. Firstly, I thought you guys done a great job with the website. That's definitely not something that you see that often in high intensity training, right? And so that was really impressive to me. And then I enjoyed watching the video and seeing, learning more about you. Thought you were very charismatic. And the messaging and everything else. And then obviously through you, I realized that you're part of the Greater Strength Code and Sheila's obviously a mentor to you. So yeah, just really excited to discover you and meet you both. So there you go. That's how these things happen, right?
Such a long, winding road, the way that we find each other. It's very interesting. Yeah.
That's it.
I love that.
I'm still waiting for that 95-year-old woman to come.
Oh, you are? Did it not come to fruition? Oh, never mind.
Her daughter was in New Zealand and someplace else. And every once in a while she says, my mom just hit, and she gives me a new weight on the leg press. I'm dying to meet her, but so far it hasn't happened.
Okay. Well, hopefully it does soon. Yeah. So Lisa, just to start with you, I wanted to just find out about how you came across, just elaborate on the bio bit, because I know you kind of gave the high level, is how you came across Sheila and the Strength Code and that whole story. How did that happen?
I had heard of slow motion strength training. I don't know where or when, but when I and my boyfriend started scuba diving, I realized that I was weak because that equipment is like incredibly heavy. And I would see the dive instructors, these women flinging the tanks over their shoulders to go get refills and stuff. And I was like dragging it. And I just thought, I've really got to get serious about my strength. At the same time, I'd been diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is a thyroid condition, and really had to start focusing on my health in a new way. Before that, exercise was about getting thinner. And that shifted everything into, how do I get healthier? How do I get healthier with the way that I'm eating and the way that I exercise, all of that. It wasn't just like getting on a treadmill trying to get thinner. Now it was about building up my strength and my lowering inflammation, all that stuff. So I just started poking around, and I came across the Strength Code on a Groupon, and I just bought the Groupon. I know I talked to Sheila on the phone. She set me up with Joe. And I went in on a Sunday and went through the initial workout, and I was hooked. And I started going every Sunday. I love that it was accountability was built in, that I didn't have to think about it. Like when you would go to a regular gym, you would have to think about, what am I going to do? What weights am I going to do? How does my hair look? Like there's a whole raft of things. I didn't have to worry about that. I just went in. Joe had everything set up. I did the very best I could. And then I left and I didn't think about it for a week. And that for me was success. And I got a lot stronger. It was very effective. And then there's that cascade effect where you feel stronger. So you're more inclined to eat a little better. And then you're more inclined to go on a hike or, do some intervals on the treadmill. Like it all just builds on itself. And it really was life-changing in the long run, not even including me becoming a trainer, just in terms of the quality of my life over the next 4 years, I think improved dramatically. And it started with going to the Strength Code in Burbank.
So then how did that then evolve to you going, right, actually, I'm going to go and do a business in this? Because that's a big step.
It's a crazy step. My boyfriend and I bought a house in Palm Springs and rented it out, and had the intention that at some point in the future, we were going to move there. And when I hit 59 in radio, I realized there were very few women of that age in radio. And
I can't believe you're 59. That's unbelievable.
61 now, but thank you.
Wow. And I know, sorry to interrupt, Sheila. Yeah. I'm not going to be rude and ask your age, but you're very public about that on your website. You say you're almost 60 and you just both look incredible. It's inspiring, I think. And
thank you. I just turned 61 too.
Wow.
I just turned 61 in January. Yeah. So we're representing
anti-aging exactly. Right there.
There totally. It is. Okay. So the intention was to move to Palm Springs, and several years before the move, I started poking around to see where I was going to train in the Coachella Valley. I mean, I would have driven from one end to the other to do it. There wasn't a single studio. Apparently there was one in Indian Wells at some time that closed. And I thought, I can't stop doing this. If I stop doing this, it's just, it's not going to work for me. And so Sheila and I had become friends, and we had lunch one day, and I said, is it insane? Do you think I could like start a studio so I can keep working out? And Sheila is like the most yes person I know in a discerning way, but she was like, absolutely. You can absolutely do this. I asked Gary, my boyfriend, do you think this is insane? He said, no, you should do this. If he had said, I don't know, that would have been it, I think, because I'm not an entrepreneur. I've never worked for myself ever. I liked having regular hours and someone says, go here, do this, and then go home and forget about it. I enjoyed that. So it was a huge leap, but I was so connected to the workout. It seemed really important that I just go ahead and give it a shot. And then I had Sheila behind me, which was, I mean, obviously everything. Without her, I never would have done it.
How's that transition been for you in terms of becoming a business person and having to learn all those skills? And has that been challenging for you?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, COVID is such an interesting thing. I mean, to start a business in the middle of COVID, excuse me, was a challenge, but also in a way a gift. I hate to say, but it took the pressure off me to get everything done as fast as possible, because my equipment, which I had bought, so I signed my lease in March, my equipment didn't arrive until July. And so there was nothing I could do about that. So I did the build out of my space. And that took a while. Everything slowed down because of COVID, but it kind of took the pressure off me to get everything done right away and jump in, which I don't think I would have been prepared to do mentally. I'm not a person who can juggle 10 things at once. Sheila took me to a mind body conference where I learned there are things called KPIs. And there's this mind body software that is
talking my language.
Yes. This is all so new to me. I was like, I don't know what this stuff is. She just held my hand through that. The mind body software, if I was just learning that on my own, I don't know. But Sheila like really helped me with that. I had to learn
minefield like that. That's the thing when you're starting by yourself and you've got to learn. I mean, I'm in the middle of that too, right? And it is a lot of work. I mean, you almost just want to hire someone to own that right away, don't you? But you can't
100%
because of cash flow, right? But you want to,
right?
Well, at least some people want to. Some people nerd out and love it, don't they? But that wouldn't be you and I probably.
But the benefit was the chart that I used to track people's workouts. Sheila already had that. All I had to do was make it bigger so I could see it, because I have glasses. And so many things were already set up for me. The branding, you talk about the website. Obviously, I didn't create that from the ground up. Sheila already had the website. We just altered it a bit for me and my location. So a lot of that was done. It's not like I had to start from ground zero. And still, it was an enormous challenge. And then sort of quietly opening in September of 2020, is that right? Before we were really allowed to be open, because technically, I guess I'm a gym. But, you know, it was just me and one other person in the studio, both masked, vaccinated when the vaccines became available. And two clients never saw each other. I would schedule people out so that nobody ever came. So I just kind of quietly opened, and I had friends who started coming in, a couple of people who'd done this workout in other places who joined. And it's just a very slow start, which was great for me because I was still learning how to train people, even to some extent, because, you know, I had trainers looking over me when I was doing it with Sheila's place, and now it was just me. And so it kind of ramped up in a way that was really beneficial to me, honestly.
I love the mindset shift. You know, a lot of people would complain and struggle with that, but you kind of spun it in your favor and thought, actually, you know, this has worked out for me. And I think there's a lot we can learn from just hearing you say that. That's really cool. Yeah. Just hopping back to a few things. Just want to jump on what you said. Groupon, that's interesting. Sheila, is that still something you do now as a marketing tactic? I'm guessing you had like a discount code or something like that on Groupon. Then is Groupon still around?
Groupon is still around, okay. Groupon has a very bad rap for a lot of businesses like ours. Other fitness business like yoga and things like that, they're all like, oh, I'm not using a Groupon, because it just people use it once and then they go to another yoga studio and use it, right? But I feel like our type of business is uniquely set up to use the Groupon the best way, because we only allow you to buy one, which we had to negotiate with Groupon, because their first setup, if you set it up with them, they'll be like, oh, you can buy 3, and it's like, no, you can only buy one. We had to kind of negotiate that. And because our workout is something that people have to try, and I've heard you on your podcast, Lawrence, say, people have to come in, they have to feel this, they have to experience it in their body. Because if they're just watching, a video of someone going slow, they're like, well, what's that? Like they don't get it because they're not feeling the intensity of it. And so the Groupon to me is it brings people in. Groupon is a huge organization, and they promote your Groupon on emails of people and people are like, well, people who use Groupons, they're cheap and they don't have the money to pay for our services. Well, Lisa May came in on a Groupon, and we have had a lot of really highly qualified clients come in on a Groupon. And so we do it now strategically. The way that I do it is I have a 2-session intro offer regularly. And then on the Groupon, I do a 4-session one. So it's a little bit more and they get a little bit more time, but that's the only place you can buy that. And I get 1 or 2 here and there. I don't get a lot, but we did in the beginning build our business on Groupon. We did.
And I have to say, Lawrence, that I this past month had 3 people come in on Groupons, and they're all very capable of joining and have joined. So it's still
is there a
weirdly
cost?
Effective.
No. Yeah, is there a cost for Groupon? No.
Oh, well, yes, because they take like 50% of the Groupon. So you price it really cheap, right? And then they take 50% of it. But to me, that's marketing cost, right?
And that's basically just for the intro.
Yeah, because the lifetime value, really if they much. Convert, is obviously so much higher. My only concern with it, and just curious how you guys think about this, is if you're offering aggressive discount or like 4 free sessions from the outset, it can potentially have a negative impact on your brand. And seeing as most of us have brands that are, trying to communicate kind of premium luxury, high-end kind of personal training, I wondered if that would just be a negative. I mean, it would just generate a negative experience, meaning you might have someone come in who, you actually answered this. You said you have got high quality people coming as a result. And I guess my assumption would be that you would get, a person who is perhaps not a great fit and would, balk at the idea of paying a monthly membership at full price, having came on a discount, right? And then that would be a waste of everyone's time. So, but that's not what's happened, which is interesting.
Because also at the same time, I chose to put pricing on our websites, which, we chose to do that, which that was a thing we didn't do I didn't do in the beginning. We didn't put pricing on the website. It's like, yeah, put it up there, because then if people look at it, they're like, oh, and so the people who, come in, and then we give them the pricing sheet, the first visit, we give them all this information. So if they're going to back out at that point, and the least of it is they're going to get a great education, kind of, that's what I say, come in, try this, because the least that's going to happen is you're going to learn a new way to work out, and you will not think about working out ever the same again, So I kind of look at it like education. And so somebody might say, oh, I did try that and it was awesome, but I just couldn't afford it, So then it just, that's what the message is for the brand. It's like, yeah, you can try it, but if you can't afford it, then you can't play with the cool kids. Or,
I also, and Sheila
it,
doesn't have the luxury that I've had because I haven't been as busy, but I've also tried to always talk to people on the phone before they come in and explain the method and tell them what the membership is. So they know right up front, if at all possible. And that also cuts back on the time we have to spend in the consultation, and we can spend more time in the studio on the very first visit, which I think is beneficial. But, if that's not possible, then when they come in, I definitely make sure they know, because it's weird. Some people buy the intro offer off the website, and then you discover they haven't really poked through the website and gone to the pricing. So I just always want to make sure people know what they're getting into, because like you said, you don't really want to waste their time or your time.
Yeah, I think this is really valuable qualifying in. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And also it's, like for someone like Lisa and for all my trainers, it's been a great practicing, they practice those intros, they practice those consultations.
Yeah.
And they get practice, and that there's so much to be said for that, in the real application of it, because you can learn everything, get certified and train. But then when you're starting to work with people, it just takes time. You just have to have a number of people come through in different situations, different personalities, so
just repetition, right? Refining over and over and over. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
I always feel like I could do better. And so when the next person comes in, it's like, this is my opportunity to try to fit in a little more good information. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also I will say, and I'm curious if you guys echo this, is I think sometimes some of us might have a free workout with someone and we think they're probably not a good fit. And maybe you don't give a great experience, right? You don't give a great consultation. You don't give a great workout. What a lot of us forget is even though they might not join, they'll talk about it. If they get a great experience, they'll remark about it with friends, family, colleagues who might be a good fit and might be interested. So I always have that in the back of my mind, is to always give my best, like make the next free workout the best one ever, so that it's going to have that impact on that individual. And then you find out that you do want to join, even though you think they'll be a poor fit from the outset. I wanted to say that because I just think some of us, I'm confident there are people listening who might slack on free workouts because they're thinking, so-and-so is not a right fit. Right. But we got to think of the byproduct, the fact that they might talk about it with other people. Is that something that you
absolutely? And then the other thing about quote free, it's not really free. It's a little bit of skin in the game. Right. And I found that we offered free intros and things in the beginning, and then somebody might just not show up. They don't show up. And it's just like, well, that's a waste of our time. Right. But if somebody has even $50 in the, that they've spent on it, or a little bit of money, they're probably going to show up, And yes, I totally agree with you about just giving it a really great thing, because you never know who they're going to talk to. And, I lost my train of thought in a minute, but it's like the networking groups, like you promote too. We go to these networking groups and we talk about it and, maybe we get one person here or there, but they might go and talk about it, so it's all about kind of just yes. Like Lisa said, I'm always a yes person. Yeah. Let me show you. I'll do some free ones sometimes, for the networking group people, or for somebody that I might want to introduce to this method, just so that they can talk about it.
Yeah. And I forgot to say, go ahead, Lisa. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think they learned this from Sheila. I also joined a Chamber of Commerce in Palm Desert and the Coachella Valley Referral Partners, which is a networking group, and offer all of them a free come in. Let's just play around for an hour just to see what it is. No pressure. I'm not expecting you to join. I just want you to know what it is, because that's what networking is about. And you tell me what you do. And that's been really effective.
Right.
Love that. That's critical, right? Any networking group you join, BNI, get everyone in for a free workout. Yeah. And in BNI, you've got the added incentive of having a one-to-one, right? If you have a one-to-one with someone, I don't know how familiar you guys are with BNI. Yeah, it goes down as a stat and it goes towards you, it helps you generate referrals. So it's like, if you can get everyone in, you'll probably convert most of them, because typically people in BNI are a busy professional or pretty good fit for our business. But then, they're gonna talk about other people as well. So that is like step number one with networking groups for sure. Yeah.
And I feel like with networking groups, you have to find your people, So Lisa, I was saying, maybe check into either BNI or this or that or what's out there. And so she started checking into it, but you actually have to go and try it and see if you're connecting, because we joined some chambers and different things in the very beginning, and it just, I don't know, it wasn't connecting. And then I got introduced or invited to join a group in LA here that's called WRS. It's a very old school, worthwhile referral service, very like 43 years they've been around, and mostly women. And that has been so wonderful, because they're serious about business networking, supporting each other. And, that's been a really, really great experience. So Lisa started, checking some places out, and now she's found some really great, places that she's been able to network with in her area. And it's different for everybody. Maybe that BNI group in your area isn't really very active, or maybe they're very, and it's been 100%. A weird time too, because Lisa opening, she hasn't, in the beginning, nobody was meeting in person.
No, Sheila was like, you got to network. And I'm like, I don't know. And also, this is so weird, Lawrence. I kept searching online for networking groups in the Coachella Valley, and nothing was coming up until I joined the Palm Desert Chamber, and then people there invited me to their groups. I don't know where they were hiding, but all of a sudden I discovered there's like 5 or 6 groups I couldn't find online, which is such an odd experience. But, for me, moving here and knowing very few people, like I developed a whole community that I didn't have and wouldn't have had if I hadn't joined these groups. I know people, I have friends now. I would have been just out here on my own without that. It's been like helpful in so many ways. In addition to work.
One thing, like just having Lisa as an affiliate, one thing I've realized, I probably wouldn't have done it if she had moved any further or into a different place. But a lot of people from the LA area either have a second home there, know somebody who lives there, moved there after retiring. So there's a lot of connections that, because I wanted to be able to promote it. And it's hard. That's where I think like Luke Carlson has really dialed into that the metropolitan area, because then you take advantage of having all those people that are maybe in your studio and they know somebody across town who isn't going to come to your studio. And, you can open places close by. But I think you have to take that into consideration, like when you're thinking about expanding. So Lisa's but she still has an entirely different, demographic and market that we have to learn about.
Yeah, that's been very interesting.
Oh, okay. Park that. We're gonna get back to that because that's really interesting. Just a couple points I want to make. You're absolutely right about what you said, Sheila, regarding the networking group, whether it's the right fit for your business, whether it's the right kind of group. If your group hasn't got very many, from a BNI perspective, and I speak from that perspective because that's where I guess a lot of my networking experience is. If you've got a group that's too small and the individuals just aren't necessarily a good fit for you in terms of generating referrals or being a direct customer, it's probably not going to be a great fit. I mean, it might still be worthwhile to do it for like a year and get the members in the immediate group to be clients and maybe a few referrals, but it's not going to be nowhere near as fruitful as joining, say, a BNI group where there's like 30, 40, 50 busy professionals. And what I found is that the more kind of if it's like a major city where you tend to have more type A high performing people, it's just more productive and you get more out of it, I think. That's been my conclusion. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would probably tend to agree with that. I mean, I'm learning that. You learn as you go. You just have to kind of try it and see. There's different other networking groups here, like Team. I joined the Leads Club, different ones. And I tried them, and then I started to, you got to maybe gauge, like you said, try it for a year, gauge, okay, am I getting what I'm putting into it? Am I getting back where could my time be spent more fruitfully? And so I joined a few during the pandemic. We're all on Zoom and got to know a few other people. But then I started to realize these things that meet weekly it's a lot of time. It's like an hour and a half every week. And if I'm not getting referrals, or being able to refer people, we're not, then I'm like, okay, maybe I should do one that's maybe once a month. I like the once a month ones. I feel like those are a little more productive for me.
Yeah. And one last point on this is you're absolutely right. You got to measure your return on investment, right? And I'm amazed how few people do this. Now, Lisa, I take your point that there's a lot of kind of indirect benefits you've received in terms of building a network and friendship. So that is really important to factor in, of course. But I guess I'm talking about this I'm being quite objective about it, right? About from a business perspective. And I just noticed in conversation with other people in networking groups, they do not measure ROI effectively. They'll look at, okay, my fee for BNI is €1,000 or $1,000 a year or whatever, but then they're not factoring in the 6 hours a week. How much what's their salary, right? And it's like what, and it might be that, BNI or fill in the blank networking group delivers a great return on that investment in spite of the time invested. But you got to look at it objectively and think, okay, well, what could I be doing in those 6 hours outside of BNI to market my business, right? And compare it truthfully in that sense, right, to other things. And that's something that I don't think we do very well. I mean, maybe in our industry, but I'm just talking about other business owners I see in networking groups that just don't do this calculus, and it's important, right? So one observation.
No, I think that's true. Yeah.
The other thing about the BNIs and these networking groups, which I think is a great step in for new studio owners or new business owners, is because you learn how to talk about your business. That's what it's kind of like an education. Like you say, you get 60 seconds, or at this one that I'm at, you get 30 seconds and they are like time, so you're like, oh my God, I have to practice my 30-second, commercial. And you really get honed in on what people respond to. You get a chance to do that each time. And I think that's a really great tool. And as I think I heard you say in another podcast, Lawrence, about how it's amazing that some of the people in these networking groups don't practice that. It's like they're always like slow and kind of, just,
hi everyone, I feel retired.
Yeah. And
today.
You're just like, okay,
they're like surprised that they have to do it. Oh, okay.
It's like, you realize that this is your credibility, your professionalism is getting absolutely trashed right now.
Right. Yeah. You're like, I mean, how many times is it going to take you to learn that you're going to get cut off? And, it's just, so to me, it's like, that's the opportunity with those things. It's like practicing how to promote your business in a very succinct way.
Lisa, I know you had a point, I think you were going to make on that one.
Oh, well, it was sort of what you were talking about, Lawrence. You can get really comfortable in one of these groups and everybody becomes your friend. And then maybe 2 years later, you look up and you go, this is really fun, but what am I getting out of this?
Right.
And that is that's I'm sure a big landmine that people step on all the time.
Yeah, I think this conversation has just probably got people thinking, and maybe they'll go away and do more kind of thought exercises on this to actually, review these types of strategies for sure. One other thing I want to jump back to as well, and something that really just resonated in me that you said, Lisa, is when you moved. So I am jumping back quite a bit now. When you moved before you opened the business, you said, I can't stop doing this, right? And you were like prepared to drive, quite a distance and commit time to get to studio to keep doing your workouts. Now, this is what we want, right? We want clients who feel like this forever. We all want all our clients to be like this, to have this, to arrive at this point where they say, no matter what happens, I can't stop doing this, right? Because we want to retain people for life. We want them to tell all their friends and family and so on. So I'm just curious from both of you. I mean, you're both doing so well in terms of sessions and growing the business. And I think after this, we'll certainly touch on your business in a bit more detail so the listeners can understand about equipment, session, training style, because I don't want to learn all this stuff. But I'll start with you, Sheila. What do you think is involved in helping someone get to or finding people who feel like they can't stop doing this? How do we do that better?
It's all about that personalized service. I think it can be we were just talking earlier about doing multiple people at the same time, but I really think that one-on-one is so is the key to developing that relationship. And you do develop a relationship with your clients, and they get into so that it's a habit that they get to come and see you every week, and you uplift them or they uplift you, or that is that personalized attention that it's almost like with your hairdresser too. When women are like, when we have our hairdresser for years and then we move or we have to find a new one, we feel like we're breaking up with somebody, And I think it's the same with the trainer and client relationship. Not that, you cross any lines, but I feel like it's just giving them that really personalized, and they feel taken care of. They feel like what Lisa said, you just have to show up, and then they're going to take care of, just do what I say. You just have to show up, And to me, it's a life habit that helps them in many aspects of their life, I think. Not just like, oh, I'm going to have a hot bod or I'm going to be strong or whatever. It's like we've had people come in going through very difficult things through their life, and they keep coming in because this is literally their strength. I feel like there's a close connection to that with this type of a workout. As opposed to a class or something, I guess, classes can get very friendly too, but there's still a little bit of a disconnect when you're in a big class. And I just think, that's and also just the passion with which we are coming from. I think anybody who's got a studio like ours is doing it like what Lisa said, because they love this themselves. I personally, during the whole pandemic, was like so determined to stay alive, to survive the pandemic, because I was like, well, where am I going to work out if I close down? It's like really, it's about, I need to work out. But, we're dedicated to this workout, and we know how it has been sustainable in our lives. So when you come from that authentic place, it's, that just translates. It's an energetic thing. That's what I believe.
I also think there's something.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I want you guys to just take over. Just ignore me. Go on.
Okay. There's something about communicating to people our own personal experiences as we've done this workout, because I have noticed over the years, and I describe it like the layers of an onion, like learning that there is more inside me that I there's that voice in your head that says, this is too hard, I can't do anymore. And there's always a little bit deeper of a place you can go to ignore that voice and find that extra gear. But it takes time, and it's an ever evolving process. So where I am today isn't where I was even a year ago. And the fact that you continue to learn about yourself and your abilities makes it so fascinating to me and so much more beneficial. And communicating that to people, like telling them there's this voice that's going to tell you your arm's going to break or your legs can't, and we are going to learn to ignore that voice because you can do more than you think you can do. And That's the practice. And also telling people, this is your time. Because people come in and they're like so jacked up about their lives and what's going on. And it's like just getting them to come down a little and say, this is your time. Let's just be here and drop into your body, and sort of educating them in that and why this is so beneficial. It isn't just about getting stronger. There's so much more to it, and communicating that without annoying them, which I find to be the challenge.
Well, that's a really good point. How do you go about doing that? So someone comes in, they're all irate, they're stressed out about something. What are the kinds of things you might say or do to say, hey, look, this is your time. You should value this. You're going to get enormous stress relief. Let's get straight into the workout. I don't want your workout to be cut short. Like maybe that's how I would say it. But how do you go about that?
I mean, I had someone just the other day who was all worked up about something in her life. She came in, I set up the first machine. She's still talking. She just starts going. And I said, whoa, stop. Let's set back up, chest up. Let's brace your abs, calm down. I want you to focus on this. We can talk while I set up the next machine, but we just need to get into this workout. And also, when they get in, a lot of times they forget that we're doing slow motion. They've been there a year and still they start like just going super fast. And I say, are you in a hurry? Where are you going after this? Like, let's slow down. What's happening? Sometimes you have to ask, like what's going on. And if they can just take a minute or two to tell you, then they can kind of let that go. I always love this workout because it is a place where whatever else is going on in your life, when you come in, you really can think about all that other stuff. If you're really focused, it's a way to just sort of blank out in your brain and have a half hour of freedom,
Well, the other thing, because it's only a half hour, because it's only 20 minutes, that's why people can wrap their head around if they're going through all these things in their lives. And it's like, okay, look, let's just focus on this half an hour, 20 minutes, whatever the exercise is. Like you said, in between we can chat, but for those 2 minutes or a minute and a half that you're doing this, I want you to just focus and breathe. And it grounds people. And it also, I feel like it's possible for people to wrap their head around, okay, for this half hour, I'm just going to check out and focus on me, which in other things, it's like, oh my God, I have so much going on. I got to drive to the studio. I got to drive to the gym. I got to change my clothes. I got to take a 1 hour class, and then I have to take a shower, and then I have to go, it's so much that they're like, I can't add this in. But for our workout, it's kind of a refuge. They walk in, they've got, okay, I can do this for half an hour. And I think it's because of that adds to the sustainability of it.
Yes.
It's not like a boot camp where you're going all out 5 days a week for 3 months and you really accomplish something that's great and you feel great, but then is that sustainable? Not for most people, So it's sustainability and the ability to people say, okay, I can not handle certain things, but I am going to come in there for half an hour once a week to do this for myself.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to say, like with the leg press, because we often do the leg press first. And so we have the MedX leg press. And once people sit down on it, you're kind of looking, it's almost like the therapist couch, they're like they're sitting there and you're like, okay, are you ready? And they want to kind of talk it out a little bit. And, okay, all right, you listen for a few minutes and you feel like you're just letting them let off steam. And then you go, okay, let's go. Let's do this. And so that is kind of a good way to start if they're all hyped up about something too.
This episode is brought to you by ARX. These are the most intense exercise machines I've ever used. I remember how fast a pull-down exercise took me to muscular failure and beyond. On the final negative or eccentric excursion, my tank was practically empty, but the adaptive resistance enabled me to continue to perform work until the predetermined end of the set. This experience was very profound and made me realize how effective ARX is in helping clients reach a high level of intensity in their workouts and ultimately produce the best results. I also love how ARX measures and tracks range of motion, rep cadence, total output and time, and more with real-time audio and visual feedback. These features are powerful sales and retention tools to help you convert and keep more clients. As a listener of the High Intensity Business podcast, ARX is offering you $500 off your machines. Just go to arxfit.com/HIB to book a call with the ARX sales team to learn how ARX can revolutionize and grow your fitness business. Again, go to arxfit.com/HIB. And now back to the episode. Just during the break there, Sheila, you were talking about something that's really important to you and kind of something that kind of underpins your purpose in your business. Do you want to just talk about that a little bit more for the listeners?
Yeah, I was just talking about how I feel, especially with Lisa and I, because we are female and we are over 60. We're not even, quote, over 50. People are afraid to say, oh, I'm over 50. No, we're both 61 years old. And we did not start our studios until we were in our 50s. I was like 52, 51 when I started my studio, when I got into running a studio. And I feel like, I always have to be, I don't want to say I always have to remind myself, but sometimes I think oh, this is kind of a young person's game. The whole fitness world is a young person's game. And especially strength training is not generally first considered female, like it's more about, especially this high intensity strength training, like a lot of the people that I know and females are all like, oh, yoga and da, 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 da. It's like, oh, I'm not going to do that strength training because I'm going to bulk up. I'm not one of those people that need to go to the gym and, CrossFit and all that. It's like, no, this is the most important thing you can do for yourself. And I feel like Lisa and I can be examples of that and how, this is so accessible. I want to make it more accessible to especially women and especially women who are aging. It's like, this is the most important thing you should do for yourself as you age so you can age strongly. That's what one of the most important things I feel about, being in this business and being a studio owner. We have plenty of male clients too. I think it was so funny because one time when we first opened, there was a woman and a client, and her husband came into the little lobby and he's like, oh, is this where the ladies workout is?
Unbelievable.
We felt like saying to him, hey, do you want to go in and try that ladies workout? Because we're going to kick your butt, and it's true. I say it's like smart people do this workout, whether you're male or female. If you're smart, this is the way you're going to work out.
That's a bold statement right there. Yeah. You definitely wouldn't have alienated anyone on my podcast, but if you'd said that on a random fitness podcast, you might. I want to touch on, no, sorry, Sheila, go on.
I just wanted to say one other thing. I often call this because people say, oh, yoga and da, da, da. And I often say this, I consider this the yoga of strength training because it's very mindful. It's very slow and you're in it and you're in an uncomfortable position, but you're learning how to go through that. And that is kind of what yoga is all about, right? You're being very mindful and you're in weird positions and you're like, okay, just breathe. And that's what this is.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the things, Lisa, you were sort of getting at, I can't remember if it's actually yourself, Sheila, or Lisa said this, but you were sort of talking about how you're trying to understand your target demographic and trying to kind of reveal your target market for your location. I'm curious, where are you at with that? What does that look like for you right now?
It's been interesting. I have I want to say 2 or 3 people who are in their 30s, and then everybody else is probably 60 or above. The oldest right now is 78. I had an 81-year-old for a while before lockdown. And there's a big retirement community out here. and a lot of people who are fairly well off and have multiple homes. So while I do have a lot of people who are here full time, I also have people who have shown up in January or February, started working out with me, and are going to be gone in April or May. And so just as a studio owner, trying to figure out, what does that mean to me financially? How do I plan for that? That's a big challenge. I'll be in a better position next year. One thing is just keep running lean. Sheila and I've talked about me getting a second trainer, but I don't know where I'm going to be in June. And so having a second trainer at that point probably doesn't make sense, but you do have to ramp up. It's not just getting somebody who's certified, it's getting someone who also wants to learn how to be a slow motion, high intensity trainer. And that's a whole process. So then it's figuring out, when do I bring them in and get all that done in time for whatever is going to happen in terms of the next high season. The other thing is, there are a lot of really active people. So I have people who come in and they already do Pilates a couple of days a week, or yoga, and they're hiking and they're biking. And those people are a dream to work out with. Like, they understand about their bodies. They get the method pretty quickly. But then there are people who haven't worked out in a long time. They've never done strength training potentially, but they understand that they are getting weaker. They're at that point in their life where they really notice the difference and they're afraid. And for me, what has been the challenge is understanding how much you can push someone like that without pushing them out the door. I want to get them to tap into their strength, but I also sometimes see that they're like, no, this is going to be too hard and I can't do this. And it's such a fine line that you walk in terms of being encouraging, but also understanding that people kind of have to go at their own pace. And so that's been a bit of
observation.
A challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah, just in terms, and I'm now trying to get more into Sheila does a ton of social media. And she includes me in it, but because I'm in Palm Desert, it doesn't really benefit me as much as we thought it might. So I'm trying to find time and a method to start to promote myself more on social media. I've been talking to someone here who said, the reason you probably don't have people in their 40s or 50s is because you're not doing that.
Oh, true.
So, the networking, Google, tons of people find me through my Google ad, Groupon, referrals, but I haven't really
just to
done the
clarify, did you say
media.
people that demographic aren't coming to you because you're not on social media?
Well, that's what's been suggested to me.
I challenge that. Yeah.
Because how are they find? Well, yeah.
Google.
I'm going to give it a try.
Exactly.
I'll let you know in 3 months.
I mean, Sheila, your Burbank studio has 50 free 5-star Google reviews, right? That's where you should be investing your time, is Google and Google reviews, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh. If we're going to go down that advertising rabbit hole, this is one thing that when I jumped in and started managing that studio almost 10 years ago, I had no idea how much time I had to spend on marketing, and like what I had to learn. And it was like right at the cusp of where, digital was just becoming, coming into its own, Facebook and all this stuff. Like all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, I better be doing this, but how do I do this? It was kind of during the time that since I've opened, it's grown into all this stuff like Instagram and Facebook and advertising and all that, like it's TikTok and everything. It's crazy. So I have learned so much, but there's always new things. And I've spent money and, gone, well, what is that doing? So I have, for the past 4 years, had a very young girl who's she's a great social media brand manager. And she's I collaborated with her. Like she does all of these posts that I didn't have time to do. And Lisa would say, well, I'm going to do my own. And I said, well, that's great. And those posts are the ones that people pay more attention to. But it's really hard to find that time. It's very hard to find the time. So Google, I've just started to realize is since last year, I started to realize you can put posts on Google. You can put offers on Google. You can get people to do reviews on Google, and they're not going to filter them like they do on Yelp, which is it's like I have a love-hate relationship with Yelp, but Google I found, and then we figured out how to do the ads on Google. And so we just set it and let it go and kind of check it out. And you can check your Google Analytics. And it's just, I think that's one of the top things that I consider now, quote, social media is Google, because it's like, how everybody searches for things.
Yep.
I think 80% of my clients come in through Google, honestly.
Yeah. And this is, it's probably a good time to talk about 80-20 analysis, right? Pareto law. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but it's, if you look at, I suspect if you look at most of our colleagues' websites and sources of traffic, that Google is responsible for at least 60-70% of the hits to their website, right? So why not focus there, right? Stop spreading yourself across all these different channels, try and optimize them, and just focus on Google, because you'll get a way better return on your investment, right? In terms of your time and effort and money. Google ads is actually what I did for high intensity business. So I actually removed myself of social media completely, which
really?
Is a very controversial thing. Right.
Oh, okay.
This might be a mistake. Go on. You were searching for me and couldn't find me.
Yeah, because I was like, I wanted to put up a post, and and Joe, our trainer Joe, was searching because he's like, when are you and Lisa make? Because he's a old school, like person, and he listens to your podcast too. So he was like, when are you going to be on there? And I said, tomorrow, so he's very excited about listening to it.
Oh, yeah. That's great. That's great to hear. That's really awesome. Yeah. And look, maybe I lose some, right? Because I'm not on social, but I am made a conscious effort to redirect all that energy into assets I control, my email list, the podcast, my website. Not to make this about me in high intensity business, but I thought it was a good example, right? And I'm not sitting here saying everyone should, delete their social media accounts. I'm just saying that it just seems to me that as a disproportionate amount of effort is going there without good return, when it could be put into Google, networking, other tactics.
I do agree with that a lot, especially in terms of energy, especially with all your balancing. What was said to me was, it's not that you're going to bring in people specifically through your social media. It's that it's giving you, what's the word? It's giving you credibility.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was it. Like if someone finds you online through Google and then they look for you on Facebook, I don't do that. I don't know, but people do, I guess. Actually.
Yeah.
So that would be it. So I was just thinking maybe if I could just schedule 8 posts a month, right, and just spend a couple hours one day a month doing that, that might be beneficial. But I don't want to spend any more time than that, honestly.
Honestly, in the beginning, because we were like, I told Lisa, don't worry about opening up your own Facebook page. Don't even, because Facebook right now, unless you're paying them to advertise, it's really hard to get
very low reach. Yeah.
And so I just said, don't worry about it. But so she just did it, but it's kind of now after, being open for a year where she's been really getting a lot of people in. Now is the time. So she just opened her Facebook, but now it's more about, okay, let's just tag. So you can tag and it can come up, and, because it's overwhelming when you open a new studio, especially if you're the only person. All this stuff, you're just like, oh my God, I can't do all this, when you just started it because you're really passionate about this workout, and that's where it's really coming from. Now, Lisa also had the benefit of, she had a lot of followers on her Facebook page and on her Instagram personally, because of being, the radio personality, a known radio personality. Quite a bit of
a celebrity, Lisa, that I'm not aware of.
Yes. I'm locally.
You get recognized.
Known. I did in LA. Yeah.
And so, that's what, so I said, so she changed her current, her personal one to Lisa May Strength.
For
and
Instagram.
So it's for Instagram. And that is where, she can put posts about her studio and all that, but she does it as she can and as she wants to. It's not like there's this constant flow of, and I feel like as I've learned more about this myself, those personalized posts are definitely, they're more well received than a, like I don't do enough of that. I'm starting to do more just recently, but I just let Jordan do the stuff, and I will send her some, Jordan Jepp is my girl and the brand manager, and she would design it and do all the cool stuff, which I didn't know how to do. Now I'm just learning how to do some of that stuff that she's been doing for over a year. And so I'm starting to do a few just little bits, but they want to see the real person. I found that when she did some posts over the pandemic, she's like, just take some videos of you doing things at home. Like, what are some things you can do working out at home? I'm like, oh God, I got to put on my makeup. I want to look good. Like all of that is just like crazy making. And I just really quickly did a few things. Oh, here's some weights and do this. And, like, here's a few things you can use. And I did this and I was like 20 pounds heavier at the time, because I lost weight last year. And that she put it up on TikTok, those little bits of videos got way more views than my young trainers that are in their 20s. I was like, wait, am I seeing this right? This is getting all these views. And she said, yeah, it's just on TikTok and things like that. They just go for, people want to see themselves in there. It's more about the authenticity of it,
Couple of things quickly. One counterpoint to what you said, Lisa, just about credibility, right? You got to be on it. Surely the measure of whether you're credible is whether you've grown a successful business, right? So if you've got, and which you both have, so if you've got clients and you're generating referrals and you're growing your business, then does it matter? So then are you credible? Right. So that's one thought I had, which I wanted to share.
But, and reviews give you credibility.
Exactly. Yeah. But what you were saying, Sheila, is interesting. So what I think, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that what we have to be very cautious of is vanity metrics, right? So likes, views, comments, like they're great, but they're not dollars in the bank, right? So it's like, I'm just curious, and I'm not trying to catch you out here. I'm just trying to learn. But what have you, when you actually, have you been able to accurately measure, and it's difficult, I know, the return on investment on social media versus say Google or other things? Yeah.
No, not at all.
It's difficult, but yeah, like, can you elaborate on how maybe those views have transferred into clients at all for you?
I feel like what Lisa said too, and what somebody said to her, is that people, once they start looking at, they see the strength code, or they walk by and see our sign or whatever, and then they look it up online, and then they might see these other things, and then they go, oh, they've been around for a while. Like they've been around. I found them on Yelp. I found them on Facebook. I found them on Instagram. I found them on, oh, okay. This isn't just, a fly by night, place that might not, be around in a while. You know what I mean? People want to see that kind of longevity. I think that gives us a little bit of that because we have this, we have built up a years and years of this stuff. So even for Lisa, being just starting, they can maybe see the strength code in Burbank and see that's been around for a while. So that kind of gives her a little bit more, she's part of this, that's been around for a long time. They want to know that, you're not just, because there's a lot of fad things too, that come out, and it's just like, that was there for a couple of years and now it's gone, that happens a lot in this business too. And especially, I don't know, maybe more so in LA, because LA is all about, what's the latest thing. And, there's this, if a celebrity is going there, then everybody's going to go there. And then 2 years later, the place is gone, So I think people appreciate that, the longevity, and they can document it basically on social media. Google, yes, but I think it just adds to the arsenal. And I like being able to, I think I want to shift our focus more, and we try to do this anyway with our social media, in more educational tidbits, education. What is this about? Body composition. Why is muscle good for you? Like we try to focus more on that kind of a thing.
So it could become like, this is what Discover Strength do so well, right? They used social media as a retention tool.
Yeah, the retention tool,
the
yes.
Education, right? And I think, I think they use it more. And Hannah Johnson, their VP of marketing, was super generous. She did a content in Hit Business Membership on exactly how they use social media for retention. So just for anyone who's interested,
I just saw that on your site, and I'm like going to totally get that course. Because I'm always into learning what other people, especially like Discover Strength, they're very successful.
Incredible. Yeah, and I appreciate that. And it was interesting that that's the focus of it. And of course, they tag friends, and I'm sure they generate business through it, but it's not the initial focus, because what they have found is that the most important thing for generating new business is generating referrals from existing clients.
Right.
Just delivering incredible workouts and customer experiences. And that's where they invest most of their time and energy and resources. And I know this is just, again, one business. It's not the same necessarily for everyone, but they just have found that paid marketing, and Luke has been very public about this on loads of my podcasts. They've just found that paid marketing has just not been as effective, generally speaking, for new acquisitions in their business. So hence the focus on retention and referrals.
I would probably totally agree. I would agree with that. And I'm seeing, and right now, since, the beginning of this year, I've been really doubling down with my trainers, reminding them every single week, ask your clients for referrals, we give our current clients the ability to give a free intro offer to a family or friend. Free. That's free. We'll give that free because it's a personal referral. And I find that I have to remind my trainers about this because they're working hard and they're working and busy. And then it's like, I have to go, okay, ask for referrals, ask them, just tell them, hey, we're having a little contest and, I want to win, and your clients want to help you. They love you. They want to help you, So kind of thinking about it in that way too, it's just making it top of mind, always just asking.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated by this topic because I'm just curious what your experience for both of you has been in terms of delivering a great customer experience, right? And hoping that will organically generate referrals versus being a bit more proactive about it. I know, for instance, so Luke's shared with me how they have kind of a listen and ask method where they won't necessarily be proactive in asking, at least this is my understanding, but they will wait for the signal, right? Oh, my brother would really enjoy this, or oh, my sister's, I know she needs to do some exercise or whatever. And then it's being able to jump on that opportunity and have a bit of a conversation and see if you can tentatively book them into the schedule for a free workout. But what we've been doing at our studio here is being super proactive about it. So offering 2 free workouts for per referral, because we figure the lifetime value of a client is so high that still makes sense. And in doing that and being also cognizant of always following up. So if during a workout, someone says, oh yeah, I know someone who, they're getting married next week, so they're a bit busy, but after that they might, they'd be great for you. And just having just making sure that the trainers are, they understand that part of the process such that they need to follow up on that. Right.
Yes.
And following up is so key because the client's not going to remember because they're not thinking about it. That's not top of their list. So that follow up as well, I think, is really key. And we've generated a bunch of referrals doing it that way. Whereas I don't know if we would for our workout experience alone, because frankly, it might not be as good as Discover Strengths.
Yeah. So. But do you like offer your current existing client a free session just for the referral? Or do you offer them that if that client signs up? Like what we do is we give the former. Okay. So that might be something that we could try, where it's the client just gets a free session just for referring somebody, right? Is that what you do? And you do two. Yeah.
So as long as they come and sit the free workout, the free consultation, whatever, even if they don't sign up, we still reward the client with referrals. Yeah. So
that actually is
at least that's what we're doing for now. That could change, right? We've not been doing it an incredibly long time. It seems to be working quite well so far. Yeah.
Maybe we could do a season of that, like a promotion special.
Yeah, test it for a set period of time.
Because I think both of us were doing, if they join, a free session for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that idea. I do find sometimes that people know that their sister needs to do this, and they talk to them, they finally get them in there. At least we book it. And then they call and they've got this going on, and we book it for the next week. And then they call and they've got that going on. But it's worth the try, because some people genuinely do, as opposed to being pushed into it, genuinely do want to come in and give it a try. That's sometimes kind of frustrating, but I like your thought, Lawrence. I think that might actually be more beneficial and a easier way to approach people to bring in a referral. Like, that's really a good carrot.
Well, because then the person who's being referred is like the client is going, hey, all you got to do is just come in and try this, and I get a free session, so they are encouraging that person to show up. And they can bring them in
together, like bring their friend in or whatever.
Oh yeah. Right? I remember listening to one of your podcasts about bring a buddy, or what was that promotion?
Bring a friend week.
Yeah. How do you, okay. Yeah, that's good. Do you do that like where you do their workout, or they just observe the workout?
So we don't do that. And it was actually hat tip to Discover Strength, because that was one of their best, marketing initiatives. Yeah. For their business. Although I don't think they're as mad about it now, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
And Luke can correct me on that if I've got that wrong. But the way I understand it is it's either or. So again, it's being as flexible as possible for the client and their friend or family member, and saying, look, you can bring them both in together, and they'll just, shorten parts of the session, like a shorter consultation or a slightly shorter workout or whatever, to make it, so it doesn't, time's not too long. And obviously if they go separately, then it'd be the standard consultation length, 45 minutes or whatever that is. Right. So either or, I think we should try and I think it'd be foolish to say, no, you can't come in together, or you're just losing business potentially. Right.
Yeah.
So that's my take.
It's tricky though, because if you have trainers who are all booked, which Sheila does, and I have days like that too. It's always the how do you
the scheduling out.
But maybe it's just adding an extra 15 minutes to the session, something like that. Maybe it's not that complicated where you could do that. Because I heard that too, and I thought it was an interesting idea. It was like, I'm not sure how. What's your
average? I love how this has turned into like a freeway coaching call. How long is your introductory session now?
An hour.
Yeah, well, you could do 2 free intros in an hour.
Oh, for sure. True. But I'm thinking this is bring a buddy. So somebody's already doing their regular 30-minute session.
Right.
Then they're bringing a friend along to their normal appointment, and you've got, 7 people booked all in a row, that kind of thing. So I guess you would just make special accommodations for that.
Yeah, I don't think you can make it work. I haven't really thought about how you would engineer that, but I don't think it'll be too hard. But sorry, Sheila, you had a thought there.
No, one thing I was going to try to do, which I haven't done yet, but I think I might try to do with this one of the networking groups I'm part of, because a lot of the members they're curious, but they just haven't come in, and so I wanted to maybe try to do like a group kind of presentation just for that networking group where they'd come in and be a couple hours in the studio. We'll do it on a Sunday afternoon when it's a little quieter, and just have another trainer there and just be like, let's do a demo, for this group. And then if they want to try one piece of equipment or whatever, the goal isn't to do an entire intro for each person. It's just kind of a group demonstration. And then if they want to book their intro that day, they get a discount, or maybe they get it for free. I was thinking of trying something like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd love to see how that performs. I would just worry that they scare everyone off.
Why? You mean?
Yeah,
I don't know, person.
Maybe it's because I noticed when I did, I presented a virtual one-on-one to a networking group. So I shared my screen. I played myself training a client, and this client trains hard. I'm really pushing her like drill sergeant style, and I just got the feeling that certain people in the group were like, "Well, that's not for me," which they might have had a different opinion had they experienced it themselves. And I tailored the intensity, like you were saying, Lisa, about what you're learning, and I could be wrong about that. And maybe if you have the right fit in the room, maybe it would have the opposite effect, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, let me have a go." But I'd be fascinated for you to do that and report back.
Well, I am having a mixer for my local chamber in my studio this month, and we will do some sort of small demo presentation. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. Whoever I put on there, I want to have somebody who's new to it, maybe sit down, like maybe the vice president of the chamber or somebody who's game for it. Okay, let's get you on the leg press and let's just walk you through this and see. And then he can be like, oh my gosh, So, but not too much. You're right. Because we don't want to scare people away.
It comes back to your original point about you got to feel it to understand it. And that would be my concern. It's like, if they're watching it, do they really get it?
Yeah. They probably don't, but I think if you're showing one person live doing it, and then you say, okay, if you want to sign up for your free consultation, we'll book it with you now. Trainers are standing by to book your, to book your free consultation. So I'm going to try that because
go for it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the benefit of it. Is that these are people who weren't going to come in most likely, because it's sort of like when you walk by a store where there are no customers inside, some little boutique, there's no one in there. I don't go in. I don't want to be the only one in there.
Right.
So these are probably people who wouldn't go in, but if it's a group, then would maybe be willing to at least go in. And if you could even get two of those people interested, that would be worthwhile.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good perspective. Yeah. Awesome. Where were we, guys? So actually, I want to make sure we've got like 20 minutes left. So I want to just make sure we do talk about the strength code to understand your business in a bit more detail. So what is the current setup currently in terms of sessions? So what's the session length? What's the workout program look like? That kind of thing, just so we get an understanding, because everyone's different on this, right?
Yeah.
Well, our sessions are all 30 minutes. We go by the, safe, efficient, effective kind of, those are our core, that's our core philosophy, no matter what we do. But we also, with the name, the strength code, we tell people, we're going to figure out your strength code. So at our Burbank studio, we have some other things. We have a live prescription strength, the isometric machine. We have a free motion cable cross machine that we just recently added in. And we have the dumbbells, and Lisa has some of these things too. We have a body composition machine. So what the branding is, you come in, you fill out the form. We ask you questions like I just kind of redesigned this recently. It was just the once a week, you only have a few options, either once a week membership or you have, a package that you can purchase. So we expanded that to twice a week membership. And now a few people, we have like 10% of our clients coming in twice a week. And now in the Burbank studio, we're going to expand that even to 3 times a week protocol, because we're kind of opening it up to, they fill out the form and we get to know where they are. And we have a whole, are there target areas you'd like to target, like upper body, lower body, glutes, abs, whatever. Do you want to tone? Do you want to build? Do you want to strengthen? And so we get an idea of what they want to do. How many times a week are you willing to commit to achieve your goals? That's one new question we added. And once, twice, 3 times. So we see where their mind is. And then we go, okay, this is what we recommend for you. You're worried about bone density. So we think that you should be doing this Vive prescription strength, for the bone density stimulus at least once a month. So you should buy a 6-pack of those and do that once a month. Then you should do the foundational strength code essential workout, which is once a week. If you can't be consistent, if they say, that's another question we ask, like, can you be consistent? If you travel a lot or your job does not allow for you to be consistent, then we would not recommend a monthly membership. We would say, I think you should get on one of these packages, but we have them auto renew package of sessions, a little bit more expensive price point, but the best price point is the membership, but we have those sessions expire every month. So we tell them we're designing this to keep you accountable and to help you achieve your goals. So that's why we have 24-hour cancellation. We're going to get really strict with that. We've been kind of give or take, over the past years, but now we're going to get like, look, if you're going to come in here and hire us, then this is what we're doing for you. We're putting these things in place so that you will remain accountable, so that you will, show up every week and get your value out of this and actually achieve your goals. If somebody says they want to come in 3 times a week and they want to target their glutes, well, then you're going to do an upper body, lower body protocol, maybe those 2 times. And then the 3rd time, maybe you do a whole glute focus thing where you're doing split squats and different things like that. So we're kind of expanding in that regard because we have 5 trainers that are very well versed in all kinds of training. The foundation is the slow motion, high intensity strength training. And we do the body comp once a month for most memberships to kind of keep track of, are you losing fat and are you gaining muscle? And if you're not, what's going on? Do we need to increase the intensity? Do we need to change the way you're eating? We're also trying to incorporate a nutritional program. One of my trainers is going to kind of head that up. I'm going to do it with her, but she's really into that. So thank God. So those are things that we're adding in. Now, Lisa, because she's just herself, she doesn't have the body comp. She has, so she's the more basic pared down foundational strength code model, which is the once a week or a package. And then she's just now starting to maybe open up to twice a week, correct?
I have a couple of people that are doing twice a week. The thing that's been interesting, Lawrence, about where I am is because of the age group, I'm discovering that people need balance work.
Right.
Which I kind of just tripped across. I had someone on, I don't have an ab machine. I have 9 machines, but I don't have an ab machine yet. And so we were on the floor doing something. And when she went to get up, she grabbed the bench to haul herself up. And this is a woman who can walk up this Highway 74 and down, 5 times a week. It's not an easy thing to do, but can't get up off the floor and her balance isn't good. So we started practicing. How do you get up off the floor without grabbing something? Which is, I didn't even think about that being an issue. And now I'm checking out with other people to see, and also just having them do some simple balance things to see where they are on that. And if that's something we need to work on, I have enough time at the end of the workout that I can tag that stuff on. I mean, maybe at some point I could do what Sheila does, where I split it into 2 different sessions. I don't know. That feels for me where I am too complicated right now.
Mm-hmm.
I still have to vacuum and clean the bathroom. So, just getting those charts done is about all I could do.
One thing I wanted to say, Lawrence, about, if for anybody interested in starting their own studio like this, we've learned a lot, like having Lisa become an affiliate and start. And I'm trying to, guide her to not go through some of the mistakes I made in the beginning. Yeah. But it's like you have to, there was a book that one of the CEOs of MindBody wrote called Building a Wellness Business That Lasts, or something like that. He just wrote it in last year, I think it came out. And one of the most interesting things in his book was that you have to decide why you want to start. What kind of a business do you want? Are you a visionary? Are you an entrepreneur? Do you want a lifestyle business? What is a lifestyle business? It's just, you have your studio, you want to get to, where you're making a living, but you don't want it to, you're not like, I'm going to build a brand, and so we kind of had to define that. With Lisa is more of the lifestyle business because it's her thing and she's the only one there right now. And there's only a certain amount, like she's not going to grow to multiple locations in the, Coachella Valley. If we do that, I would have to, manage that as a Strength Code brand. She doesn't have those. That's not her bandwidth. I don't have
those goals. I would like to travel.
Just having the one studio and just making it great, basically.
I think so.
Yeah.
I want to add more equipment. I'd love to add a couple more trainers. I'd like to be open 7 days a week, that kind of thing, more hours. Yes. But no, I'm really not interested in like building more studios. I don't think that's.
No, I love it. Love that self-awareness.
And I want to grow the Strength Code brand. I would love ideally to, build to multiple locations in the Los Angeles metropolitan area. And then, go from there. Franchising is a big deal and it takes a lot of, money and also planning and legal setup and everything. But, it can't happen until the whole brand is defined. And I feel like I'm kind of getting a handle on that. Like, what is the Strength Code? And then, also since the last 2 years, we have found out that people think about working out differently. It's more important for them for mental health reasons than it was 2 years ago. Yeah. Now, almost one of the number one reasons why people work out is because it helps them feel better, as opposed to, I want to be in great shape and have, a 6-pack abs. That's like number 3 now, reason why. It's like mental health, just overall health. And then, okay, yeah, I'd like to have a 6-pack, but there are different reasons. So I would like to expand into that. What is your quote Strength Code? And it can include recovery things. It can include meditation. It can include, like other things that support your strength in your life. That's where I'm thinking of going toward, and of course, we're focused on getting our Burbank studio just really rocking. And I have a lot of, plans for that, but that's kind of where I'm going with the brand.
Yeah. Fascinating. Lots of ideas percolating.
Yeah.
Yeah. She always has a lot of ideas.
I do, but good. I like it. I want it to be more accessible to people. I mean, that's one of the main things I feel like, because even though, we're in a niche group, even though this has been around for a long time, right? And it's like, still, if you say Pilates, everybody knows what Pilates is. If you say slow motion, high intensity strength training, people are like, what's that? And so I'm just amazed that I want more people to know about it. I want it to be more accessible to people, Yeah, that's totally my
agree.
mission.
Yeah. Joe, one question I do have is, obviously if you decide, are you just to clarify, you actually are looking to franchise it. Is that where you're heading towards? Or
Well, I would say ultimately, yes. But I feel like the brand has to grow to some multiple locations in Los Angeles first.
Okay,
that are
by
not
yourself before moving forward on that, right? Yeah. Because I guess one of the things, the challenges is if you're looking to franchise and have multiple locations, you want simplicity, right? With franchisees, you want there to be so that you've got greater consistency and focus, right? And that's the problem with trying to be like jack of all trades, trying to do all these different things, nutrition, mindfulness, etc. Is you also fall into the homogeneity of the rest of the fitness industry who are trying to be all things to all people. And I personally think that might dilute your or weaken your ability to attract more people to the cause of strength training, even though it's kind of counterintuitive because you want to meet their other needs, right? Nutrition it's so tempting, right? It's so important. There's so many people that we get in our studios who frankly look terrible because they don't follow their nutrition, even though they're strength training regularly every week, right? And I really should hat tip Luke every time I speak, because the man has taught me so much about running this business and growing this business and helping others do the same. But I've tried really hard for us not to focus on nutrition, but instead to defer it out to other experts who do that, right? But I mean, that'd be my perspective on that side.
We haven't up until now. And the reason we're doing it, we're not doing like, one-on-one coaching and everything. We're starting a group on a private Facebook group, and we're doing nutrition education. And we have an app that they can use to do all their meal planning. We just get them set up on it. So it's not as hands-on like the studio, because we have avoided it as well because of that. It gets very complicated. With this app, I feel like we can.
Could you separate it? Sometimes I think it's having us a separate entity completely. So it's not.
Well, that's why I'm kind of grooming one of my trainers, because she really loves this topic, and she is one of the kind of part-time trainers, and this would be great for her to kind of manage and just, take off with it. We just had a conversation about it yesterday. And so I'm hoping that she can take this and run with it and, build it to what she wants it to be. You know what I mean? Instead of me having to oversee this and launch it and everything, I kind of, we're dipping in right now. So I'll give you a report in a few months, but I'm trying to always kind of offer something new to our clients as far as the workout. We're actually thinking of, I want to be open to like recovery things, because I think that's a new, mode that a lot of people are interested in. What does that entail? How can we fit it into the business model? I know some other people that are in the slow motion business that have recently gotten a little more into those kind of biohacking type of things, the Carol bike, which we're both interested in kind of exploring. Lisa and I are both interested in. I don't know if you've had any experience with people adding that into their business, but
I have lots.
And it's good.
Mixed, I would say. Yeah. And full disclosure, I'm an affiliate for Carol. So take that with a pinch of salt. But well, not that I'm raving on about it, but no, I hear one of the, I think, effective ways I've seen studios utilize it is to have it as like an unlimited offer. So when they sign up as like a membership, they just get access to it as part of that membership, right? And they get like unlimited usage as like an adjunct, right? If they want to do high intensity interval training. I guess what I'm saying is I haven't seen as much success with it as a standalone offer.
As like an add-on, like just an add-on into the membership, or...
Yeah, I haven't seen it as very successful as
Okay.
that. Now, I could be having a biased sample, and maybe there's someone out there who's having a lot of success with it. And if that's the case, let me know. Put comment on the blog and prove me wrong. But this is just from what I've seen so far. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of my trainers, I was asking, what they think about this stuff. And he's like, well, honestly, at least 50% of my clients have a Peloton now at home. So I don't know if they would even bother, they wouldn't care. I have a Peloton, it's like I got on board with that in 2020. But yeah, and going back to what you said about simplifying, that is definitely my goal this year. It's not quote simplifying, but defining what is the strength code process. One of the most interesting books I read over the last year is called The E-Myth Revisited. Have you ever read that?
Yeah.
Great book. And it just opened my eyes to the branding process. And that's what I'm trying to do in this year. I'm focusing on branding the strength code system. What is that? And I think
You've got to read Traction, Sheila. Have you read Traction yet?
No.
Traction's like E-Myth 2.0.
Oh, it is?
And it's because obviously E-Myth is very focused on systems and processes, whereas Traction's like tying it all together in a whole framework so that you have a clear. I would have definitely talked to you offline about this anyway, because I think it's so important for you right now. But it basically helps you define your vision, your strategic niche. So what you want to be the best in the world at. So everything, again, that will help you focus. It will help you define your marketing strategy, your free uniques, which you have some of this already. It will just help you probably refine it further, your target market. And then from there, your goals. So your 10-year BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal.
The BHAG. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I love about EOS, and it's, when I'm coaching clients, I always find myself going back to it because I'll try and help someone with their business. I have a coaching service, and it's like, I'll try and just, help them where they are. But then I'm always like, no, you know what? We need to go back to the EOS, which is, by the way, Entrepreneur Operating System. The book's called Traction. The system's called EOS. And I always find we have to go back to this because it's like fundamental, right? So it's not unique. It's just what's unique about it is it's tying together timeless business principles,
right?
That kind of thing. So I would highly recommend that book. Yeah.
Okay. I'm ordering it do it after we get off this.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just want to be respectful of your time, guys. I know you've probably got clients you got to train and that kind of thing. So is there any kind of parting thoughts before we wrap this one up?
I just want to say, as I mentioned in my, in the intro bio that you read, the more I learn, the more I know I need to learn. And I feel like always being open to learning. And if anybody out there is considering opening a studio, it's getting, educated. I got a lot of education through Mind Body, where we use Mind Body. I started going to their Mind Body University, and it's all about managing your business, marketing your business. They have so much help. They have a Mind Body One community. I have benefited from that. And then you are in the high intensity niche, so that's an educational thing in itself. What is our type of business? And the other thing I did recently in the last 6 months is join Boutique Fitness Solutions, which is a mastermind for boutique fitness owners, fitness business owners. And that I feel is also like when you're in your networking groups, but they don't understand your individual business. Like there's fitness, and then there's the niche, and then there's the boutique level, there's a lot of support out there. There's a lot of groups that I wish I would have joined 5 years ago. If that's one thing I could do over, I would have dialed down on that 5 years ago. And I wasn't led in that direction until it just happened the way it happened. But that is one thing that I would highly, highly recommend, beyond the networking and everything, get into your business, like a support group, a learning group.
So what Sheila is effectively saying is you should all join Hit Business Membership. Where we help you
Yes,
grow your high intensity training business.
for sure.
I have to say, this is such a wonderful community too. Bill Casto, who I bought a lot of my machines from, he owns, I forget the name of the company. Do you remember IFW?
Oh God, you've got me. I'm going to bring it up. IFR.net, isn't it?
Oh, IFR.
Yes, it's
Used
IFR.
fitness, integrated fitness resources.
Yes.
Yeah, Bill Casto is great for equipment. Yeah.
So I have had so many conversations with him that have been so helpful while I was buying the equipment and after. Like, he's been a great resource. Chuck Bystricky is a trainer who's owned a couple of different studios in Colorado that I call every few months with like, here's what's going on with this person. What do you think? Like, people are so generous in this community to talk to you if they have time. Some people are so busy, they don't have time, but I haven't found a single person who wasn't available at some point to talk and help in any way that they could. It's such a, it's a lovely community to be part of. Yeah, it really is. And I'll echo what Sheila said. Anybody who is thinking of getting into this business, I thought my brain was working because I was writing news and doing all this stuff on the radio. And then I had to get into this. And it was like, oh my gosh, I think my brain's been turned off for the last 15 years. And now I'm having to turn it back on, which can only be good. You're helping other people, but you're helping yourself as well, expanding your brain. So I think it's all positive.
That's awesome. Yeah, because you said how you were getting less enamored talking about celebrities and things like that. And
yes. I'm so done with the Kardashians. I can't even tell you. I just don't care anymore.
And yourself, Sheila, anything you want to?
I just want to give a shout out to Greg Burns. I don't know if you know him, but he's like the old school super slow guy. He's been doing it for like 35 years or something in his garage. And he has always been so helpful. And he just gets excited when anybody wants to open a new studio and he wants to help and he's just all about it's his whole life kind of, and he knows all these, he's been instrumental in many ways of getting certain pieces of equipment and things like that. The equipment is a whole thing that you could have a podcast series on, like getting your equipment.
We have lots, but there's so many more to come on equipment for sure.
It's just, and that's a whole learning curve too in this particular business. But Greg Burns and also Rick Stadden, who is out, he was in Indiana.
Milwaukee. He was in Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah.
Rick Stadden,
Yeah. And he moved out here. And so now he's out here and he's been really helpful too.
Genius. Right, with the training and the machine modifications.
Oh my gosh, his studio is like, I want to send my trainers there. I'm like, you guys have to go to Rick's studio and just look at his equipment and see what because he's so like the equipment level of, like how he modifies things and how he does, it's just always really interesting. I mean, we're geeking out on equipment, like
I just want to fly him over and have him like just spruce up everything, like modify, optimize all the kit we've got. But that's one of the issues being over in Ireland. We don't have access to all these awesome people who understand MedX and Nautilus and how to modify them and set them up. And that would be useful.
Yeah. He spent some Sundays with me modifying some of my equipment, sprucing stuff up. I mean, he's amazing. And just having conversations with him, he's great. Yeah. And a shout out to you, Lawrence, because I feel like I've learned a lot today in this conversation. You've given me a lot to think about, which I really appreciate. I mean, I love your podcast, but it's even more fun to be on it. Because I always have questions, really Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure it won't be the last time we all talk. Go on, Sheila.
Yeah, sorry. I think I froze there for a minute. My internet connection is unstable. Yes, Lawrence, thank you so much. I have learned so much from listening to, I haven't listened to nearly all the podcasts of yours that I should, but every single time I just tune in, I learn something. And so thank you for doing this. And thank you for being a advocate for our niche business. And let's, get it bigger let's grow this.
No, you're welcome. And I really appreciate that. I mean, talking about EOS traction, purpose, where it helps you define purpose. The purpose of this is aligned with yours. It's through helping you guys build successful strength training businesses. I'm going to help you market to more people and grow your client base and help more people get the results they want and transform their health, right? So it's huge problems right now globally in terms of poor metabolic health. And so this is the most leverage I can have to do that. So no, I really appreciate you saying that. And I'm glad it's helpful to so many people. It's really fulfilling. Yeah.
Yay. Let's
awesome.
Get the world stronger.
So what's the best way? What's the best way for the listeners to learn more about you guys? Contact details, website, etc.
Well, and that's another thing I learned. If you're doing multiple locations, every location has to have their own URL. You can't just have a page on the main website. It's not good for your location. So Lisa has her own. I have the strengthcode.com. And Lisa is the strengthcodepalmdesert.com.
Yeah. And that's the easiest way to find us.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much again for taking the time, guys. I really appreciate it. This has actually been one of my favorite podcasts ever.
Thank you.
And I promise I didn't say that on everyone. And for everyone listening, to find the blog post for this episode and download the PDF, How to Attract Great Personal Trainers to Your Strength Training Business, please go to highintensitybusiness.com, search for episode 356. And until next time, thank you very much for listening. This episode is brought to you by ARX. You want to be a successful strength training studio owner. The problem is you aren't able to deliver the safest, most efficient and effective workouts, making it harder for you to attract and retain clients, which makes you feel frustrated. I understand that it can be difficult to differentiate your business without the right tools. ARX's breakthrough adaptive resistance technology uses patented motorized resistance and computer software to give you and your clients the perfect workout every single time. BioFit founder John Zarbok says that ARX is clearly the superior tool to deliver the exercise stimulus. My clients are seeing insane improvements in weeks, not months. I could not fathom running my business without ARX. So here's how you get started. Number 1, go to arxfit.com/HOB to get $500 off your ARX machines. Number 2, book a call with the ARX sales team. And number 3, learn how ARX can help you grow your strength training business. Go to arxfit.com/HOB so you can stop struggling to attract and retain clients and start to grow your strength training business with confidence.